talk show is brought to you by...
Hey, want to feel young again? Are you tired, run down, have aches and pains, brain fog? This is science-based, not hype or fancy marketing. It really works. Carbon 60 helps detoxify your body on the cellular level. It stabilizes free radicals, just like the antioxidants found in red wine and berry stew, but on a far smaller, more bioavailable nanoscale. It's like a bottle of electrons, helping your body to function better. You can also apply it on your skin topically, over muscles, joints, or organs. Most people feel results within minutes. This is not a drug. It's organic carbon. Feel better today. About 95% of our users report more energy and clarity of mind within 10 days. Give us a call at Greska's Carbon 60 at 720-600-6040 or visit our site at c-60.com. Call 720-600-6040 and feel young again.
Folks, welcome back to the iHealth channel, iHealth Radio, the Fit and Fab channel. Awesome topic today. When we talk Fit and Fab, we talk fitness, we talk, things that help the fitness world. And today's guest is going to drive us into this world again with a different angle, something we haven't discussed before, something that's probably not known well enough in the community. And he's going to bring this to us because he is the founder, CEO of this particular service or technology, and we'll get a deep dive in a few seconds here. So I have with me John Graham Harper. He's a certified master trainer, speaker, fitness professional, over 15 years of experience in the fitness industry. He's also the founder of John Graham Fitness and Golf Academy director. So I mean he's doing a lot of stuff. He's a leader in technology, and he is the CEO of LumaFlex, and so it's a red light therapy, and we're going to talk about that, in deep once we get through the initial stages, right? Which is basically knowing John. So, John, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to share. Right, it's very special. Thanks to you for allowing me on your show.
No, man, listen. Our mission is to bring resources and lights, on some things that are happening out there. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and just when we think we know a lot of things, we don't know everything. There's no way we know everything. Right. Therefore, we need to, get people closer to some of the stuff that's available. Again, our mission is to inform and give the resources, and so it is my pleasure to have you actually and talk about this because I was intrigued. I mean, looking at it and it's pretty interesting stuff. So first things first, I mean, you're a master in a lot of areas. You're a trainer, you're in the fitness world, you do your own training, stuff, you're in golf, you're all over, which is, by the way, that's part of success. I mean, people that are doing stuff, I mean, they're just idle. They're not idle. They're active. They're like literally out there doing different things. It's not one thing. It's multiple things. I believe in the same thing. You don't do just one thing and you think, I got it. It never works that way. If you just do one thing, I mean, it's going to be very monotonous. And it just, I feel that people do more than one thing, when they just, it keeps them motivated, it keeps the drive. And one thing leads to the other. And that's typically it. But so John, let's talk about your journey into the fitness, how you got into all this and some of the achievements. And then, we can talk about your fitness training program, but I really want to focus on the LumaFlex, specifically today. So.
Yes, because LumaFlex, it is a red light therapy panel. It's a class 2 FDA cleared device, probably one of the most advanced red light therapy devices on the market right now. And the goal with this is it's a product that is catered to the active community, for pro athletes, for your retiree who still wants to, play on the golf course. For young kids who want to make it to the college team. So what they need and as far as red light therapy is something very, very accessible, something that's portable, it's durable. You can throw it in your gym bag, it won't break. And that's what we've created. We literally created the world's pretty much the most durable flexible. Flexibility in red light therapy is really important because this panel can bend around joints and muscles. So it maximizes the amount of light treatment that you can get to an affected area. So it's flexible, durable, waterproof, and very, very portable. So yeah, it's something, again, it's more for the active community, pro athletes. Not usually pro athletes are the ones already using red light therapy, right? And people have this idea that red light therapy is only for them or for astronauts, right? It's been used for NASA. So it's something where I'm trying to, create a product that allows red light therapy to go mainstream, allows it to be, easily accessible in anybody's gym bag, and they can use it on the go anytime, anywhere. So that's kind of the vision. That's
also, I love it. I mean, that's really, you already give us the descriptive of like, who is it for, what is it going to do, but let's go deeper in that, because you didn't stumble on this. I mean, you have been in the fitness world for a long time, and you've trained, but you also, I'm sure if you train, you get hurt. There's always exposure to injuries and things. I mean, there's no one that's out there working hard out there in the fitness world or athletic stuff or martial arts, whatever, that is not getting some sort of injury in their course of journey, right? And it is impossible to tell me that. And maybe there is someone, I'd love to have them on the show, but if you're trained out there, you're gonna have muscle issues, you're gonna have tendons, you're gonna have sprain. I mean, there's so many things, just as basic as that.
That's right.
And there's always a need for like physical therapy and some other things and modalities out there to help and prevent injuries or maybe suppress some of those things and heal. And you went to this route of a technology that's being used by the pros and the higher, I guess, caliber stuff, people that can afford these technologies out there. But you taken it to scale it down to make it affordable to everybody, that is literally portable in the bag, which I love actually seeing the model in right now on the video here. I think for those people who are watching, that's great. For those who are listening, it's really just a cool thing that goes around your wrist or ankle, whatever it needs to be. And it's pretty malleable and flexible to actually. So I'm just doing the descriptive for it.
Yes.
But let's go,
Yes.
John. So let's talk about your journey that got you. Why you went into red light therapy rather. And I mean, obviously there's something that drove you there. I mean, I know you mentioned golf, and I mentioned golf. Is that where it started, or did it start from your fitness, just career path, or you've seen it out there and you just like, damn, why can't this be, which, by the way, I love what you said, it should be available to everyone, right? So let's talk about that. I mean, that's really, I think a lot of people would be like interested in knowing like where they come from and why, and then we can talk about the extra benefits of it, and what parts of the body it can be used and things like that.
That's right. Long story. I have to try to condense it down. Lots of trial and error, lots of fail. Yeah, as a young athlete, I would, someone that, I mean, actually, where it started was I was a skinny little boy, right? So a little skinny, unconfident, and most people that are in fitness, that are athletes or, bodybuilders and, even MMA fighters, usually it comes from them being young and not very confident in their early years. And they wanted to build their confidence up. And the way to do that is usually in the gym, right? Or getting into sport. So I was definitely that very skinny, unconfident, little kid that went to the gym, and that's where I built my confidence. And actually looking back, that's what really inspired me to get into fitness, because the confidence that I got from the gym, I wanted to share this. I felt it was like something very valuable that I wanted to, to impart on people, like go to the gym, train, and have this euphoric feeling of being powerful, being strong, being empowered. Right. So that's I think for most coaches and trainers, it's similar. This is usually the process, how they get started, in the industry, in fitness, especially as a personal trainer. It was very much so like that for me. So obviously I was competing a lot. I remember I set this challenge for myself. Every year I had to do 3 competitions. Like I had to challenge myself physically three times a year. Like I had to pick some sort of sport or event. And I got into CrossFit. I was doing CrossFit competitions. I got into rugby. I got a lot of injuries. that I actually blew both my shoulders out. And then I got into boxing. I got into amateur boxing, and boxing was actually pretty rough because from what my doctor told me, a tumor was found in my head, and he told me it was because of impact to the head. So maybe from sparring or from fights, I actually had a tumor in my head that I had to have invasive surgery, and I wasn't allowed to. Well, he recommended like no more sparring, no more fighting ever again. That was a pretty scary injury to sustain. And then I moved. I was sort of looking for something to compete and to stay, to sort of, make you feel like you still got that David Goggins savage beast mode. And I went into bodybuilding. But I kind of just in my career doing personal training, I opened up 6 gyms. I opened up a supplement store. I got into golf fitness. I was featured on the Golf Channel as a golf fitness coach. I was training tour players. I was traveling all over the world with tour players, being with them when they were doing their tournaments. And then I had the gyms. I was building gyms, and then I got into education because then I needed to train the trainers to train clients, right? But it all kind of, the core, I would say, reason for me getting, having this journey was, just to be able to create more impact. I had this feeling I got from being someone very young and skinny and unconfident, and then feeling that I was strong, I was powerful. I wanted to impact people and share that with them. Then I wanted to scale that, right? I didn't just want to train one person one-on-one. I want to train groups. Then I want to open up a gym so I could have more members. Then I want to train trainer teams that could train more. And I was just always looking for ways to scale. And that brought me into technology. And I started working with AI. I don't know if you've heard about this AI mirror. I think Lululemon, they bought mirror. This is COVID times, right? But there was a similar mirror device that I was working on, and I was the content for it. I was the coach in there. But they were slow to market. The partners were very slow to market, so it didn't kick off. But I was into technology a lot. And but the injury that actually kind of got me down the red light therapy road was actually to my left knee. And out of all the injuries that I've had in my life, this one was the one that really killed me. It was depressing almost, right? Because when you've got, say, a shoulder injury, you got obviously a head injury, you're still able to walk around, right? You're still able, you can manage it better, right? But with the knee, I remember just not being mobile. Really, it took a toll on me, mentally. I was I had a lot of anxiety built up, like, oh, I'm not competing. I need to, every time I would, try to do a squat, it would hurt. And I think it was probably from, earlier years when I was playing basketball as a young kid. I was very tall. I didn't have a lot of muscle. My joints weren't strong. And I probably just wasn't wearing proper shoes or doing proper, warm-ups or whatever. But that's kind of what I'm thinking where it came from. But just over the years, the knee got worse and worse. And basically, it was to the point where I would sit down. And if I was sitting down for 10 minutes, any longer than 10 minutes, the knee would really hurt. It would start to flare up and hurt. And I would have to extend the knee. I'd have to get that that heat rub, that like deep heat cream, and I would have to massage it and sort of lubricate the joint and stretch it just to be able to go and walk. But it meant like taking planes was very difficult, or traveling was very hard. Even sitting in a taxi, sometimes I would have to ask, like, please stop the cab because I need to get out and I need to just stretch my leg. It hurts so much. And it really it was something that having to deal with it was very, very tough. And I sort of assumed, like, this is it. I'm gonna have to deal with this for the rest of my days, right? Because obviously, as you see, people that are older that still want to be active, they've got their back issue, they've got their neck issue, or like, oh, I've got that elbow from my early days playing tennis, and there's this, this thinking like, oh, that's that sort of chronic condition, you're gonna have to deal with it. That's you. But my wife, she's Chinese, and she, complaining about the knee a lot. She went and bought me this red light lamp, and the lamp was ugly. It was a heavy, horrible looking thing. And I remember the bulb was this big red bulb, and I remember looking at it, and she was, you have to, every day you have to do 20 minutes. And I thought it was sort of some Chinese, feng shui, some, I was like, okay, I'll do it just to, to appease you, right? And I remember she would, she would set up the lamp, she would move it and, work the arm and extend it and put it on the knee. And it would get really hot. It would get very, very hot. And I would play this game with the lamp where I would put my knee close to the lamp to get the treatment, but then it would get so hot I would have to move the knee away, and I would kept doing this. I remember it was so hot, but okay, but it's working, right? It's working. But after about a week, the pain started to go away, and the way I could tell the pain was going away was from the seated position. That normally, anytime I was seated, it would usually that's when it would act up, and that stopped. And after about 2 weeks, and it was even like in the 2 week, 3 week range, it was gone. The pain was gone. And I never had that issue again. And it's something in Asian culture is very, very well known. Red light therapy, everybody knows about it. And it's usually used for skin. And obviously we know from TikTok videos where they have those red light therapy masks, we know that the beauty industry, red light therapy is very, very common. It's extremely common. And red light therapy even in hospitals is quite common. If you've been in a serious car accident or you've had a nasty fall and you have like a deep wound, a very serious cut, usually you will get prescribed some red light therapy to help accelerate the healing of the skin. And it's all common knowledge in Asia, at least in my experience. But I was curious about this and having it heal like this, and having in the thinking that I had that I was basically I had to deal with this for the rest of my life, and then suddenly this weight being lifted, it got me very, very interested into red light therapy. And where I saw the gap was in the market is, okay, so it's big in beauty, and athletes are already using it, but usually the way it works with an athlete is that it's in a clinic. You get into your car, you have to drive to the clinic, you park your car, you get out, you pay your fee, and you get into like a red light therapy sauna. And I'm sure you've seen these red and infrared light saunas where you can go, or it's like a tanning bed. You lay down there and then the cover comes and covers you, right? So it's accessible. It's already sort of in the fitness industry. Lots of pros are using it. It's usually part of their recovery protocol. Like most pro athletes at soccer, basketball, golf, all of them are using it. And it's almost like it's almost mandatory. Like they are being paid to play sports. So recovery is such an important part. So whether it be like ice baths or massages or saunas, red light therapy, it's all like they do all of it and they're religious about it. So, but where red light therapy actually shows the most benefit is consistent use. So if your average person going out and training, and doing their, going to their CrossFit class or going to their boxing class or going to their local gym and lifting weights to try to get big and confident like I was when I was a young kid, don't have access to it consistently. Sure, you could, go to that sauna, you could make that trip to the clinic, but where it shows the most value is daily use, like I did with my knee, where it was every single day I would do 20 minutes. So consistent use is really where red light therapy shows the most feedback, right? But that it's not necessarily feasible for someone to go drive all the time. They need the red light therapy in their home. So what are the options, right? Is it something that are there devices out there that they can carry with them if they go on tour or they're going to go see their friend? Can it literally be in their gym bag along with all of the other goodies that people have in their gym bag, right? Their weight belts and their, wrist wraps and their chalk and their supplements, whatever. So I wanted something that was that was so accessible. It was like, and it was something that you could just take with you on the go. Because, with red light therapy, having a device that you can place somewhere and you can multitask, you can do your warm-ups at the same time, or you can like write your program for the day. What sort of session am I planning? And during this time, you're getting your red light therapy. That's where I feel, really we're going to have a big benefit to the fitness community when it comes to red light therapy. So that's what the LumaFlex is. And that's kind of, a sort of very condensed version of the story, but that's kind of where it all started. And, the big sell for red light therapy is pain management, recovery support, post-injury treatment, right? This is kind of where I feel all the feedback, the stories that I hear from people are usually, in something to do with pain. People are suddenly getting relieved from pain that they thought that they were going to be stuck with, right? Like with my story. But also red light therapy has benefits. Like, I mean, it's people tell me like, so what does red light therapy do, right? And before I get into all the, about pain, I always say, well, the real question is what red light therapy can't do. I mean, it can boost testosterone, manage your stress, right? My wife uses it, when she has her period pains every month, right? She puts it on her stomach and it helps manage her, that area during that time, right? So it's something that, the world is slowly catching on. But where we need red light therapy to really shine is where you can take it home. You take it with you on the go. You can put it in your bag and it's there with you. Just like you got your smartphone, you can have your red light therapy device. That's kind of that's my mission, you would say, for LumaFlex.
Well, I think we're gonna get, that to me, there's no doubt that it's gonna work because it is needed, and I want to break down a lot of stuff because it's fascinating. Your story is definitely super fascinating. Anyone watching or listening right now, I mean, you've covered a lot of things. I mean, we can go hours literally to discuss different topics just from what you covered. But I want to highlight a few things because they're important. And they might touch on different areas. Because I think I try to take advantage of any discussion and extrapolate some things that are powerful messages, whether it's for discipline, ambition, resilience, all the stuff. And you just touched on a lot of things, entrepreneurship. So I want to go there. Well, the first thing is, a lot of people are watching or listening right now, and some of them are younger, some of them are older. It doesn't matter about the age. Some of them are parents. But it goes always to that first stage of our life, which we are kids. Some of us are not built big, or some of us are just tiny. And I was one of those kids too. And I relate to this. Whenever I hear the story, it's goosebumps, right? I mean, it's like, going back to the days where you were the tiny kid, everybody looks down at you. You're like, not very, it's just like, you're the one that's on the corner and like everybody bullies you because just they look at you like you're like an easy prey, right? And I love what you said that, so everybody's got a different way on that angle. And it is sad to even think that it is a common practice all over the world, just because of the body, of the nature. People look at you because at that point you're not over, I guess, grown yet, and your body's not developed enough. People just, those that are a couple age, older, years older than you, they just think that, you're just an easy little cat, boom, they push you out of the way. And it is important that there is always a way to literally conquer that. I conquered it through martial arts. You conquered it through building your body where you became bigger enough, so you can look bigger, right? And more, intimidated. And that's an important piece because, it's going to happen, folks out there, and it doesn't matter. Some people are bigger and they still get bullied. It doesn't matter. But if you find something that's going to give you that personal, just to have the confidence. And the key, confidence is a catalyst to a lot of things. Because if you're confident, you can succeed in life. If you're not confident, you're not going to talk to anyone. You're going to be shy. You're going to be timid. You're going to be like, really just crumbled because you're not building that personality. When you are confident, you're like, you walk like, you mean it, right? So it changes the dynamic. So thank you for sharing that, because it's a simple point, but it's really a driver point, to a lot of people out there. And by the way, this is not about just when you're a kid. I mean, even in life, sometimes some people are just not as confident for various reasons because they're being told stuff and they absorb the negativity and they just keep, feeding themselves that until they believe that they're not worthy. They're not, they can't do anything. Not good at all, man. Folks, if you're listening out there, you deserve it. You got this. Don't listen to the hype, build your confidence, whatever it is, that you need to get there. You can do it, whether through training and joining a tribe or joining a system, looking good in the mirror by looking at your muscles, say, hey, I see what I see is good. I like what I see here. Whatever it is, make it work. I mean, you want to dress up nice, do that too, whatever. But you need to build that. So that's just one point. The other one is, and so, you're a competitive athlete, and you built. So this is the thing, you build yourself to a point where I'm just not going to look good. I'm going to do crazy stuff. And you picked some rough stuff, man. I mean, first of all, like CrossFit is a tough, game. I mean, you got to be really, out there, to do it. It's just heavy stuff. I mean, especially, it takes a toll on your body, right? Then you went to rugby. I mean, rugby is to me is one of the toughest game sports out there because we have American football, which is tough, but it's the I mean I would still say rugby is the original version of it, and there is no helmet, there is no nothing. Your body is taking the beating. I mean, there is no stuffing up, where you can get a little absorbed, shocked here. There's none of that. It's really bone into bone, head into head, and you see those guys playing rugby. I mean, I just was watching, I think, the World Cup recently, and these guys are beasts. I mean, I'm telling you, it's one of the fascinating games, and they play, and somehow they get injured too, and there's no doubt. But it's different because they're resilient to a degree. But nevertheless, it does take an impact on your joints, your body, and whatever, and you can get concussions, of course. And you went to boxing. That's another brutal, game. I mean, boxing is ribs, cage. The cage gets beat up, the face gets beat up, the head gets beat up. I mean, it is a known, sport where people get, head injuries. So you picked some of the rough ones. I mean, they're all interesting games, and I'm sure there's a thrill to it and stuff. And of course, you're still young, dude. And I can tell you, when we're younger, we all feel invincible and that we can do whatever we want. And by the way, anybody watching and listening, if you're in the 20s and the 30s, it's the best days of your life, and you're gonna try to maximize that. And please do, but know that hopefully there is a long life ahead of you, and you want to manage that expectation. We tend not to do that when we're younger. It is a fact. I'm guilty as charged. I've been in martial arts all my life, and there are things I wouldn't do now that I used to do. I would not do them, period, because I know it's not even worth it. I'm not going to hurt myself. I don't need to impress anyone. But there was a time where that was like, oh, I got to do these things, like, because I want to challenge myself and do more stuff, throw myself, do all kind of crazy stuff. I mean, I was a skateboarder. Now I wouldn't do this shit. I'm sorry. I mean, I do it just for fun, but I wouldn't do it like professionally or go crazy, because what's the point? I don't have to do boot camp stuff, just to prove something to anyone. I mean, I'll just stay healthy enough. I want to maintain my cardio and, my physique, whatever. I'm not going to go to the extreme, but at a certain age, you don't care. You just think plus there's an entourage. Yeah. And you have an entourage. You always look, you want to be the one that they look at you, right? And it's sad, but it's reality, and we all go through it. It's part of life, right? So if you're in that age, just we're not stopping you, folks. We're not giving you advice not to be you. But be mindful that, you got to do it right and don't get hurt. And again, the importance sometimes of having a personal trainer, the importance of taking care of your body correctly, and so on and so forth. You just said it. I mean, the professional athletes, they have a whole team, and they're getting paid, but they get the whole support. In average, we don't have. You're doing it on your own. So if you break something, it's on you. If you hurt a joint, it's on you. And pain will resist with you for life. And it is not fun, folks. I mean, you experience it, I've experienced it, and a lot of people can probably relate to pain. Doesn't matter who you are, what age, you definitely have some level of pain in your life, whether just from a game. I mean, you mentioned tennis, people, tennis, elbows and all the pain that can come with it. The knees and that's the other thing, these are joints and stuff. There's like a car, right? I mean, you have those shocks, right? They absorb, but there's a point where they stop working. Well, same concept with your body, your limbs, everything. There's a point where your knees are going to give up, your elbows are going to give up, your joints are going to stop. There's so many things that can happen besides any major injuries. So you had a serious. I mean, we're talking about tumors in the head, in the head. I mean, the brain. What was it in the brain? I mean, just in the head in general.
Yeah, it's in the head, and the guy said, like I said, how serious is this? And he said, well, you need to remove it, or it's getting larger, and it will go through and hit your brain. You will die.
So it was not in the brain. It was in the head. Well, that's a relief. But you're right. Even that, right? It's gonna continue growing as a tissue, and it's gonna impact the brain. But that's the thing. Yeah. It is. We all. By the way, I just had a show recently, and we talked about men are sometimes crazy. I mean, we go nuts. And, we think that, we're just like, the little crazy, folks that do stuff. And by the way, there are women that do exactly the same thing as we do. But in general, we are more likely to make the mistake of hurting ourselves the wrong way. And we're just dumb about that. I'm sorry. But and by the way, someone was like, oh, no, we're not like that. Well, I mean, maybe you're not if you're listening and you think that this is not the right opinion. But I can tell you, it is. You're entitled to yours. But for our purposes, at least for me, I know we do dumb stuff, and I think that's why we we live a little less than the ladies because they take care of themselves better. So, but that's really the thing. But you're right. So that was another thing. Like the fact that you've picked some serious stuff and it was good for you, it was fulfilling. The other part I want to talk about is that your entrepreneurship. I mean, you've always, that's the other thing. Like I started with this, that you like to do things and you're not one thing. And that's a very common trait for a lot of people, that they're always looking for the next thing and they combining things and they're doing different things at the same time. It can never be one thing at a time. And that's just what's happening with a lot of people that are out there doing things. They always, I mean, to be an innovator, in your case, you are, you do stuff. I mean, I love what you said. You were one of the first ones with that mirror. By the way, I'm familiar with it. And, and by the way, similarly, I can tell you an example. I had a company that I started that didn't scale enough, that the competition today, well, what would have been the competition is actually, cornering the market, and they're making millions. I could have been a millionaire, but didn't work out for me, and I learned a lesson that, you pursue it, you make it happen, and doesn't. So I have it posed right now. It's still there. I'm still going to bring it back to the market, but that's another story. But the fact is, you had an idea, you went pursue it. Yes, it didn't work. That's okay. Somebody else made it work. To your point, they marketed differently and they were able to get some. And the timing also can sometimes, the financials, all the stuff can play, a game on this. But that's another thing for people. Folks, you out there, sometimes we always have excuses. I can't do this. I can't do that. It's difficult. Do things that are fulfilling you. Make things happen. Get involved. Listen, I mean, you've been on the golf magazine, right? I mean, you train people, and that's the other thing. You're trained yourself, but then you became the trainer for trainers and stuff like that. So again, you're always looking at the next level, and then you've experienced, like everybody else, injury. And by the way, I can relate to knee problems, because I can tell you, when your knee hurts, can't climb the steps, the stairs properly. Driving can be a very difficult thing, because when you drive, one leg is on your pedals and the other one is just bent. And when you
Especially if the car is too small, you get out, you're like, it's just just because of the pedals. Yes, that's right. I remember.
Oh, dude, I can tell you. I mean, I've experienced some of those knee problems myself, and now mine were at a point in my life I just let go, and for about 9 months I just didn't take care of my body well enough. I gained a lot of weight, and that's just pure weight. There was nothing. Also, I've been in martial arts, so I did a lot of kicks and stuff. And when you kick, there's a lot of impact on your knees. I know a lot of my friends who had gone through knee surgery because of that. They really kind of destroyed their knees. So there was a point where I decided to scale back. And even then, I mean, I'm in the 50 mark, 52. And it is there, dude. I get the pains. I know exactly. So red light therapy is definitely something that I would have to consider, as a solution. And by the way, that's the other thing. You did not create something, but you create the version of things that can be, accessible to people. Because to your point, to date, it's been all in the cosmetics and in the big scale stuff. But it's not like in the portable version. So you took something that existed, that worked for you as a test run, even though you didn't believe in the first thing when your wife brought it. It's like, what the hell is this? But that's the other thing. Like sometimes we stumble on things and we think that, okay, I'll do it. But I can tell you, your wife cares, because then she had something and she didn't make it. And guess what? Now you thank her for this, because Lumaflex is really her baby in a way, because she brought it to you, right? But the thing is, it's happening. And that's the thing. Like, sometimes you don't know what will be the next thing. But that also goes to the way you think. You see something, you also see the opportunity. Since you're in the field, it's a lot easier for you to apply it. Now, that's easier said than done. I mean, we could talk about this. I mean, I'm looking at a lot of lights around me right now. It's taking it from what I'm looking at to making it into a device that is portable, and converting that to the idea of making it accessible to everybody. Because to your point, the cost is also inhibiting, because to go to these studios and whatever, get these sessions, it's not going to be like a piece of cake. Plus, you're limited in time and space to go to these locations to get it done. Here, you're talking about whole concept. So I took a little bit of breakdown on all the different items that you've covered in there, and it's just a lot. And again, folks, you're probably listening. You're probably making your own deductions of the discussion today. So my job is just to kind of take those and highlight them a little bit and expand on them. But the fact of the matter is, I love to do these things, because it really keeps me motivated myself, because you're just giving me a lot of stuff right now. Like, hey, this is the way to go. You're supposed to do this. And sometimes I can be corrected. Sometimes I can get more value that I can apply. And really, that's what we would like to do here. So we're talking about red light therapy, but we also can give, benefit, get benefit from all these things that James just covered with us. So now, John, sorry. Now, the concept of red light therapy, as you said, from the science, is to work with the recovery, to stimulate the actual, I guess, growth or whatever. So let's talk about that piece of the science, like, a little bit, to just bring that, because by the way, I even read that staring at red light can help your eyesight, and again, that's a whole different discussion.
That's right.
So I was, yeah, go ahead.
Eye doctors, it's so big in the hospital. Like, I know so many different areas in the medical world that use red light therapy that I never knew about, that you've been using it for years. But yes, I've actually heard about it a lot recently, of different eye doctors that are now incorporating red light therapy to help with eyes. But like red light therapy, the problem that happens with red light therapy is people think it's new. They're like, oh, this pseudoscience, like, I don't trust it. Like, this is all the biohackers and, those optimizers, they're all pushing this stuff, and it's all pseudoscience. But actually, red light therapy is old as the sun itself. It is actually, it's not new by any means. It's actually very, very old. So red and near infrared are available to us as human beings when the sun rises and the sun sets, right? And when we wake up in the morning during the sunrise, sunrise, sunset, you can see that red, orange, depending on where you are. Like, if you're 30 degrees away from the equator, you don't really have access to red and near infrared light from the sun. So people in those areas of the world definitely need red light therapy devices. But this is the time when the wavelengths of the light are at the right, that they're able to penetrate the skin and activate the mitochondria. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. So actually, if you're giving ATP, if you're giving energy to the mitochondria, to the cell, it can do its job. And whatever its job is healing, blood circulation, growth, whatever it is, it's able to now do its job. You're empowering the cells you're empowering your body on a cellular level. And it's important to note that what actually red light therapy, what the light does, it doesn't actually heal you. It gives your cells the energy to heal themselves, right? So this is sort of, people, oh, is this healing me? It's like, no, your body is actually healing you, but you're just giving it energy. You're giving your cells the energy to heal themselves, which is very, very important for cellular function, right? If your cells have excess energy, they can now start working on conditions, conditions that like you said, like with my knee, or like with my dad, it was his neck. My mom, it was her, she had bad knees as well. But it's conditions that have seemed, that you can't get rid of them. But it's not that you can't get rid of them. It's just the cells never have enough energy to then address those conditions. So if they have an abundance of energy, they're able to actually heal those injuries. To heal, even if they're if it's arthritis or these serious chronic conditions, they can actually be cured from, because they're now giving their cells the energy to do so. So that's what near red and infrared light. Red light is, so the LumaFlex actually has red and near infrared. So red light is, the wavelength is for the skin. That's for healing skin. Near infrared can go as deep as the bone, right? 10 millimeters down into your body, right? So that's for like joints, like serious joint chronic pain is where you can get your near infrared light can actually help you. So that's something that's very, very important to remember. And I always remind people, whenever there's a discussion with people that don't know what red light therapy is, it isn't new. This is old. We were doing this in the caveman times, right? Like when the world first started, we were born under light, right? And we are creatures of light. Plants need light, animals need light. And we would wake up in the sunrise and we go to sleep when the sun sets. When your eyes are exposed to natural light in the morning, a timer goes off, and there's a 24-hour timer. And then when you see the sun set, that's when your body shuts down. Obviously, everybody's circadian rhythm is a little bit off now because we live in concrete jungles. We're not as exposed to natural light. People have weird sort of, people are up late playing on their phones at 4 a.m, and then so that it's something that it's a problem now in the world. right? Where people's circadian rhythms are, creating anxiety, depression, and all of this. And a lot of this can be cured with red light. And if you're sort of mimicking your circadian rhythm. So that's obviously, if you don't have access to, a place in the world that's beautiful that you wake up and watch the sunrise and sunset, I would recommend do that. If you do, always wake up when the sun rises. That's, start your circadian rhythm. But then if you're not in those areas, you need that red light. You need it. It's, your mitochondria need it. And where else can you get it? If you're, like I said, if you're 30 degrees away from the equator, you don't have access to red and near infrared. So that's sort of where, I don't know if you ever heard of SAD lamps, these lamps that you buy when you have this like depressed feeling because the weather's, if you, in those places where the weather's is always droopy or, sort of an overcast weather, you feel bad. And you get this anxiety, you get sort of the depression that, their SAD lamps are actually quite popular in these areas of the world. But it's just red and near infrared. You just need some near red and near infrared light. So that's something that when I wake up in the morning, obviously I wake up when the sun rises, I start my circadian rhythm, but I actually get the Lumaflex and I put it on my forehead and I put it on my stomach as well. I put it in these two places. And this helps activate your brain, helps your cognitive energy, your focus. Right. If you've got a busy day where you've got some work to do, you've got emails to pump out, right? For you, you got your podcast to work on. There's lots of, you're in front of a computer screen a lot, or you're looking at your phone a lot. You need you need to get your brain primed for this. So I put it on my forehead, I put it on my stomach, and I'll even put it on because it helps hair loss as well. And I'm going a little bit bald, so I'll put it on top of my head. And
Someone had to use of that.
On my front, but yeah, I put it all over. But it's giving it's all about getting your mitochondria energy, right? Mitochondria. It's a very, very you're addressing the problem on a mitochondria level, which is very, very important. That a lot of people think like, oh, it just heals you. Is it warm? Is it because of the heat that it heals you? It's actually the cells. We're empowering your cells to heal. That's what that's kind of the simplified way of explaining what red light therapy is, and what it does for your body.
Well, that's quite a bit. And frankly, I mean, you've touched on the fact of the sun. I mean, this planet, is positioned correctly around the sun for somehow, a divine reason, if you want to call it that way. But scientifically, if it moves one split, degree out, it's over, right? One way or the other, we overheated or overcold, and then you have, I mean, we talk about disasters sometimes, and I was watching this documentary the other day, what is it, Yellowstone, like super volcano, it's on Netflix. And when you think about the impact of that, it's a global impact. When you watch some movies, then you have like a meteor shower or whatever, some impact or whatever, and then you have this doomsday ELE event where it's all. But what it talks about is really the fact that you don't have sunlight, and therefore everything dies. And that really relates to what you're saying. I mean, someone probably like, what does it have to do Yellowstone with this discussion? But it's the idea that the whole atmosphere will be covered, and therefore you have no sun access, and therefore everything starts dying. And in 2 years, you'll have an ice age and whatever you call it. Everything gets pretty much life as we know it will disappear. It disappears slowly but surely because we owe it to the sun to survive in a lot of areas. I mean, as you said, the plants need it, photosynthesis, all this stuff. We need it, for our skin, growth, vitamin D, all this stuff. There's more to this, and we can probably get a whole doctor to talk about just the benefits of the sun. And, there are risks, of course. I mean, we've heard a lot of careful, cancer, this, that. I mean, yes, there is that, but I mean, that depends on the exposure. And there's actually studies now that contradict that discussion, that they say you're supposed to be in the sun. Frankly, I mean, there are generations of people that, listen, I grew up, when I was a kid, I was in Africa, and I was exposed to the sun literally every day. And, my days, I mean, the suns were really, I mean, the years were hotter. I mean, I was born in Morocco, and when I was in the 70s, we had droughts, so there was no rain. It was always sunny. And you would literally spend, days and hours on the beach in the summer after school. You just go on camp, and you just stay there. Hours, super dark. I mean, literally, the sun was exposed, I was exposed to the sun all the time. Now, luckily, I have no problems in skin, but the fact of the matter, so, all these people are living under those conditions are not suffering. Now, obviously, if your skin is not used to this and you have different pigmentation, things like that can be an impact because it's a change. So we are literally adapted to the environment we're in. So the harder the whatever the sun is, you're gonna get a darkened skin and so on and so forth, because your pigmentation is gonna have to meet that. If not, you're not gonna have access to it, and vice versa. But the fact is, we still need the level. And by the way, today studies are showing that, at least in the West and in the US, for example, it's known that majority of people have a vitamin D deficiency. Our
Oh, okay.
exposure, we it's a serious problem.
Sun. Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we don't have now. You're talking about a spectrum of light that is, emitted from the sun, that we're just harnessing in a way that is actually giving, more access to the skin, and it stimulates those cells to actually be activated and really do their functions. And it's not far-fetched. I mean, that's the thing. Like, when you start understanding how everything works, it starts making sense, and it's not a difficult task. You're basically just exposing those microcells. I mean, they're very tiny things that, they get the natural stuff that they needed all along to be, and by the way, I love what you said about those gloomy days, because I can tell you, when it's gloomy, your mood is down, you're not,
That's
you're like,
right.
you feel sleepy, you feel tired. It's like, but when it's sunny, you're like alive. That, just to tell you, there's a correlation there. I mean, there's the energy, there's the sun hits you, you feel different. It's just an in. Obviously, too much exposure, you're probably sleepy too. But the fact is,
Yeah.
everything in due moderation, right? You have to do it in the right, I guess, limits. But I love it that you broke it down to. And by the way, it is not new. This is the thing. It's always been there. And I love what you said about the how we live today. We are not supposed to live the way, we're designed. We're living in a different way. We're almost contradicting our natural, status. We're supposed to wake up with the birds and sleep with the
Yeah.
birds. You hear the rooster, you're up, and then, as soon as sunset is down, you pretty much, are supposed to sleep and, take your beauty sleep and recharge. And that's how it used to be for centuries. Now some people can debate, oh, these people didn't live long. There's other reasons why they didn't live long. There's wars, there's disease, but it wasn't because of the lack of sleep and eating healthy and being in nature. It just, there were more dangerous, opportunities for them to die. But that's another discussion. But the fact is, like you said, this is old school stuff that is in nature, that has been now utilized correctly. And it has been. That's the other thing. Again, it's been used in a lot of technology, in a lot of industries. But now you're bringing it to the recovery for people, so they can actually have it on the go. And I love that. I mean, I think you're genius for doing that, because it is something that is now accessible. That, by the way, I've seen other devices that you can buy, and you're right. There's Redligh. I mean, I have actually on my website, a couple of them, but they're just different devices that you use, and they all have different, the same concept. What I like about yours is the flexibility. I mean, you could put it, like, I love what
Yeah.
you said about your hair. I mean, we do lose hair eventually, folks. I mean, it's just part of growth. I mean, as you get older, you get some
That's right.
low. So you want to stimulate these cells to get a little excited, and why not, right? It helps. But again, you're putting in different parts so you can get some stimuli there to get them excited, and then hopefully energized to do the functions that they're supposed to. Nothing wrong with that. Now, I do want to ask, John, the idea of, someone can say, well, how close do you need to be? As remember, you said, like, up and down is hot. Is it, that I'm assuming that you took that away. It's not hot. You can put it. It's not going to do any. You're not going to get burned. One, two is, how often do you need to use this technology? Do you only use it after workout? Do you use it before? Can you use it multiple times a day?
Yeah, just thinking about what you said also about the sun, right? So red and near infrared light, when the sun rises and the sun set, actually red and near infrared light boost your body's natural SPF levels. So I myself, like, after listening to a bunch of biohackers, one of which I'm actually very close with, Sarah Turner. She's a PhD neuroscientist. So she educated me about sunscreen. She was like, don't ever use sunscreen. It's full of chemicals, bad for your skin. And, just stick to red light, because it naturally boosts your SPF levels. And actually, I haven't, thinking about it, I haven't used sunscreen since we've had that conversation. I use red light. I'm on LumaFlex all throughout the day. Like, the joke is that I use it so much that I probably should be glowing red. But I've been out in the sun, and usually, I'm being very, very fair skinned, I would normally get very, very burnt. but I have never been burnt since using red light. But as far as treatments, but so I always do it in the morning. Morning's important. If I don't have access to a nice sunrise, I'll still get out. I'll still be exposed to natural light in the morning. But I always do at least a full upper body, especially my head, my chest, my heart. I'll always do at least 10 minutes. There's a built-in 10-minute timer in the LumaFlex. So when it turns off, you just switch it to the next part, right? So I'll do this in the morning before workout. It actually is clinical. There's FDA proven clinical studies that show that it does boost performance. Now with pain management, red and near infrared light show a lot of prominence. Like there's a lot of case studies of people being miraculously healed, suddenly be free of pain. But when it comes to performance, yes, there are a lot of clinical studies that show it does boost performance, because obviously you're giving your cells energy, so therefore you're going to perform better. But if I tell this to the average person who goes to the gym a few times during the week, it is true. It's something they can do, but it's hard for them to understand the boosting the performance. Like if I go to them and say, hey, did you run faster, or did you lift more weight doing your deadlift, or did you score more goals in the soccer game, right? It's hard for them to say, well, it's hard. You need to be in the laboratory to really understand how performance is boosted with red light. But where obviously the conversation it always ends up is with pain management. Like, after I did the deadlift, or after I had my marathon, or I played the game, I usually am very sore. I did the red light therapy post training, and now I don't feel sore. That's usually in the average person's brain. That's kind of where the trigger goes off, and they understand the value of red light. But high performance athletes that are all linked up to computers, that are running on the treadmill, or they've got their the oxygen mask going on and everything. It's more easy for them, for the doctors around them, for the sports scientists around them, to be able to clearly show a measure of performance increase by using red light therapy pre-training. But I still recommend, if you to use it pre-training. So usually I do morning, pre-training, post-training. And then if, as you wind down for bed, for me personally, my gut, I always want to help my gut, things to digest. So usually I do on my stomach before bed. So that's kind of my daily routine, how I do it. I still train quite aggressively. I haven't quite accepted my retirement from the boxing ring. So I do sometimes, get stuck in a little bit. And I do get quite sore. I obviously get sore. So what I usually do, what I recommend to people, that if there's a sore area or an injury, you double the time. So do 20 minutes, so click the timer on. So there's a detachable battery, right? So you long press to turn on the battery, and then you short press, and boom, there it is. You short press to turn on the panel, and then that's the 10-minute. There's a 10-minute timer built in. So do that twice on that affected area. And if, depending on how your particular body type, and how everyone knows their own body, and I do recover quite quickly. I've been known to recover quite quickly from, depending on the injury, of course. But I sometimes do that twice a day. So I had, I'm actually very close with Tyson Fury's team. He's like my big boxing hero. And I was telling him because I had a special unit given to him. And I told him the exact same thing. I don't know, sort of, your own body well, but I would encourage, for an injury, for my jab hand, I feel it's a bit sore. I would say do 20 minutes twice a day, but then keep that full body every single day. Do your head, right? Do your chest area, especially your heart, right? Do your stomach in the morning, do pre-training, post-training. And then at night, I do for my gut, but then for those injuries, attack those areas. The LumaFlex is able to wrap around your joints and muscles. So you're light traveling in a straight line. If you're next to a panel, like say you have a panel that you stand next to, a lot of the light will just be bouncing off you, right? You're not maximizing the amount of treatment that you can get from that panel. But if you have a panel that is flexible, that can wrap around, you're maximizing the amount of treatment. You're getting more bang for your buck, right, with the red light therapy device. So I say, yeah, 20 minutes twice a day. That's kind of the general recommendation I give to people, whether they be from sports backgrounds or just a regular person who doesn't take training very seriously, but also is quite active.
Yeah. Thank you, John. Well, so one thing now. I mean, ultimately, that's for you working out. You have some recovery that you need to make. That's easy. But what if someone had like some severe injury or surgery, or they just they really have massive problems now? They need therapy and all the stuff. Does this also help them? I'm assuming it does. Now, obviously, 100%. The treatment will be in different segments, right, or longer, I would say, because now they have to really do this stuff. And ultimately, of course, we're talking an opinion here, but I mean, people can always talk to the doctors about the benefits or whatever, but we're not selling pills here. I mean, it's something that the idea that you can use this technology to expedite the process of healing. And by the way, I love when you turn it, for those people are only listening to this radio or podcast, you haven't seen it. So he presses a button and you have literally a big spectrum of light. Yeah, if you turn it to the camera, there we go. So it's literally, it looks like a big light, but it's red, and it's like those if you watch Superman, those other the guys that were anti-Superman, that's like Superman's eyes. It looks like that. One of those laser beams.
I stick it on my chest. I call it the Iron Man, and I'll stick it there.
It does look like it.
Yeah, fits on that collar, right? It can just hang in the collar, and then you get that chest area, right? That's one.
So is it adhesive, or is it just like or does it have like a strap or something?
Yeah. So there's a long strap, right? And then there's a short strap. And this panel, this is made with silicone technology. It's the same technology that outlines planes. You can drive a car over this panel. It won't break. And the holders for the straps are the test we did was over 100 kgs of pressure on the handles of the panel.
It's durable. It's sturdy.
And you can put it, you can strap it there. Then you switch it around, do the other side. You can do the shoulder. You can do your back, right? You can place it wherever you want with the long strap and the short strap. Short straps for arms, right, and legs, and then the bigger strap is for the larger muscle areas.
All right, and so in terms of, I'm assuming the cost is not as difficult as as you would go to an actual studio for these things, or like one of those I guess, I don't know, aesthetic or spas, whatever you want to call them. This is pretty affordable, pretty portable, I guess, and it's available online, I'm assuming, right? They can just go on the website and order.
And if anybody goes to my Instagram, John Graham Fitness, just message me and I'll give you a discount code. I'll give you a $220 discount code. But yeah, if you just message,
it's easy to do. Just text, right? Why not?
Yeah.
And again,
no pressure.
But now, so you talked about battery pack. So is that a chargeable thing, like USB type, or is it like a battery concept, or how does it?
That's it. Yeah, just it, and the wire comes with it. So it's easy charge, easy use. Like it takes roughly 2 hours to fully charge. So my units, I'll use it throughout the day. And then at night, I let it charge and then I start again. It's just part of my routine now. Like I wake up, I'm in front of the computer. I won't even look at it. I literally have gotten so good with the straps and moving it as I'm reading my emails or I'm on a call or something, and I'm able to just move it around. You get used to it. If you make it part of your day, and it will become addictive. I must say, like if after about 2 weeks, after consistent use every day using red light therapy, your cells are really happy. Your cells love you. You as a human being, all your cells are feeling great. And this feeling, you will get addicted to it. You will always want your red light therapy treatment. And you'll get good at putting it in those different places. And I've had, some of our ambassadors, some athletes, they've shown me very unique ways in where they have it on as they're doing something like they're taking care of their kids or they're gardening or, they're warming up. Like they've showed me these interesting ways of how they've used the strap to put it on these certain places. So it's kind of, it's something you can innovate on your own, depending on your situation, what you're doing, what your routine is in the day. Obviously be very, very careful. Of course, if you're driving, you can do it, but then obviously at a stoplight, you can change it over. I had a friend do playing golf, and because it's very important that the panel, this is a waterproof panel. It's not water resistant, it's waterproof. You can go underwater with it, and so the panel needs to touch your skin, right? We need to maximize the amount of treatment. We got to put it on the skin, right? You don't put it all over your clothes, especially if it's dark clothes like black, right? But what he does was between holes, he would put it on his back, right? So, when he's in the cart driving the next hole, he would have it there, right? And he's waiting for, his buddies to tee off. Then he goes and hits. And then I've heard very, very unique ways in incorporating it into sport and, into daily life. It's,
I can see that. You can see that for everyone. I mean, you could be at your office and having, some people have back problems, right? That can literally stimulate the back. I mean, you're sitting there, you are in a conference, you're walking, you can do it while you're walking. I mean, the sky is the limit as how to use it. And by the way, I was going to ask, how long will it take to start seeing some effect? And you did mention after 2 weeks, typically is when you start seeing, is it some improvement, or you start really I love what you said, your cells start liking it, loving it. Yeah. So you'll get a response. You'll feel the vitality.
That's right. Like if you have a very, very serious injury, like you're talking about a major muscle tear or bone, and you go to a hospital, if it is a credible hospital, they will prescribe red light therapy to you. They will have probably as part of your rehab treatment if it's a very, very serious injury. And it will definitely accelerate the recovery. But yeah, it obviously depends on the injury of how, and you yourself as a human being, how healthy you are, right? If you are a healthy person and, you're very active, you eat well, you get your sleep, right? You drink a lot of water, you get your vitamins in, right? You're at a reasonable body fat percentage. Red light therapy will work quite well for you in terms of recovery speed. But if you're very sedentary, you smoke, you drink, you don't sleep very well, you're depressed, right? There's a lot of other things that your body needs help with. So in terms of getting into a serious accident or you have an injury, you got a rough ride.
Well, thank you. Go ahead.
It's like those weight loss plans. When you meet a trainer and he's like, "Hey, I got you a weight loss plan," and they're like, "How quick can this work on me?" It varies to each person, and it depends, how you incorporate it into your daily life, and then you as a human, are you a healthy person, or what else is going on? If you could physically look okay, but if you're not sleeping well, this one little element, sleep, can actually affect a lot of things that happen in your life. Are you not drinking enough water? Do you drink a lot of sodas, or are you drinking actual water? Your body needs water, right? So some basic things. These are the sort of the foundational things that you need in order to have a great starting point for accelerated recovery, and where red light therapy can really support, right?
Thank you. So John, one thing, I know I appreciate what you stated, because it will vary. Results always vary based on multitude of things. I mean, it could be genetics, it could be just behavioral stuff, or it could be, to your point, your body type is different, and therefore the penetration, I mean, you said depends on if you have reasonable fat mass, it's different that if you have a little bit more, so the body, mass will also determine how easy you penetrate, the rays will get into the cells. So and I thank you for that, because people sometimes well, John said it's 2 weeks, John's body is different, so everybody's different. So we have to look at that, and certainly, like everything else, you got to allow your body to adjust to certain things, and time can vary based on those. I love the example of the nutrition, because you're right, not every plan is going to work for everybody, because we hear this all the time in our program, and the most common things I'm not seeing results. Well, what do you do? I mean, I'm doing the exercise, I'm not seeing results. Well, I do eat at night, and I do a lot of snacks, and well, then what's the point? I mean, you're burning, but you're replacing that stuff immediately, and therefore you're not going to see
Yeah.
results. You can work all you want if your habits are not changing accordingly. You're going to have that same problem. Same thing here. So now, one question is, again, I know you probably, I think I heard you state this, but just for our audiences to clear it, I mean, people always are scared, like, ultraviolet, red light. Let's just talk. I mean, we talked about mostly the science and like it's natural. Just to ease the minds, is it? Can we tell them it's pretty safe? I mean, it's not going to be causing any problems, or there is always a risk. Well, again, I'll let you answer
Yeah.
that one.
The only thing you got to watch out for is if someone has a skin condition. The albinos, right, where they have they have an actual skin condition. They can't go out in the sun, so they have a skin condition. So that you should ask the doctor about that before you use red light or anything, any sort of light. But other than that, there's even red light therapy being used, during pregnancy. There is no studies or research that shows that it is dangerous. Remember, it is just light. It's a specific wavelength of sunlight that happens in the morning and at sunrise and sunset. So the only thing to watch out for is someone with an existing skin condition. That's the only thing.
And thank you. And by the way, like everything else, do check with your doctor and your provider to make sure that there's no. Sometimes it could be medicine that you take in that can be, because there are potential interactions with, like some medicine they say you can't go in the sun, whatever. That could be something of that nature. So just ask before you do. I mean, we assume that you're not going to take it for granted. Always do the right thing, and that's the only advice we will say, because we're not clinicians here. But again, refer to your providers, and I thank you for giving that example, because that is a clear concept. Now, people are usually like UVs, that we've been hearing that it's bad. Red light and UVs are two different parts of the spectrum, and so one is
complete opposite. Yeah.
So just be clear, because I know there was a whole movement in going get into those tanks, to get some tannin, and then there was a lot of discussion about cancer and so on and so forth. So again, we hear UV light, index daily, and is it bad? Is it good? This is the other side. So again, if you're not sure, do talk to your doctors, your dermatologist, or your primary. Always get that feedback and get a consultation if you're not sure. And that's all there is. So John, I think we've covered quite a bit of ground here. So
Thank you.
Oh, no, my pleasure, man. And I enjoyed this conversation. But just any advice that you'd like to leave our audiences with today?
Yeah, I would really encourage people to research and learn about red light therapy. I've created a product that is for the active audience, right? For athletes, for regular gym goers, for those people that just want to go for a run in the morning. But red and near infrared light is so much bigger than that, and the use cases that the clinical studies. There's over 9,000 studies that prove different use cases for red and near infrared light, and it is amazing. It's truly, truly amazing, and it's something that even I had a team meeting just recently, and there was a partnership that we have with a sports team, and the lady running the team, she talked about how it helped her kid, right, who is having like indigestion, and just hearing the story today, and it's very, very moving, and it's something that as a company really. It motivates us to be able to. Yes, it is a product. We need to push this product out. Right, this company. We have to obviously make sales. We actually have to build partnerships. But it feels really good, because we hear a lot of great, stories of people being, having such an amazing feedback from using this therapy, whether it be for their kids, for their grandparents, or for they themselves being able to, play their sport again, or being, having recovery from an injury or something like this. So I would really encourage people to look it up, right? To learn about red light therapy and all light therapy. FDA approval is in the red and near infrared light spectrum, but the other benefits of light in the other spectrums are tremendous. And it's something that I feel in the future is going to be very, very prominent. I think just as extensive as there are different workout protocols and modalities, and there are different diets, and there's different, ways of eating, the keto diet, the Atkins diet, the this diet, the intermittent fasting, how all this is being more used and researched and becoming more common. In the future, it will be the same for light therapy. I believe that, in the future, there will be there will be light coaches. You'll have your coach, right, who trains you. You'll have your nutritionist, and then you'll have your light coach, and he'll be like, you need your light in these. This is how you're going to do it throughout the day to optimize you, right? Because that's the biohackers and the optimizers. They're very, very big into optimizing their lives, right? Having their ice bath ready at this time, having their their food prepared in this way, right? And optimization is kind of how the world is going, and people are getting involved in this more and more and more. And light therapy is going to be a big part of this. So anybody listening, I definitely encourage you to research it. Do your own research. It's amazing what you could just find, on Google, on YouTube, even TikTok. Is exploding now. A bunch of red light therapy stuff. And it's important to look into, because yes, we all have conditions that we feel perhaps we're stuck with, or maybe you just feel like you can muscle through it. You're like, oh, that's just my luck, right? But it isn't. Doesn't have to be that way, right? There's a very, very easy, 100% natural, non-invasive solution that anybody can have access to, and we all have the right to access to it. As human beings, that's what God gave us. He gave us the sun. This is what He gave. This is part of the package that we gave us as human beings. So that's something that I would encourage everybody to learn about and research and get involved with, right?
Well, thank you. And by the way, you've touched on the word biohacking and optimizers. And by the way, that's real stuff. Anyone that probably is not familiar with biohacking, it's real. It's really just, using different ways to kind of reset your body's natural response and natural action. And it does help. We live in a world we got a lot of influx, a lot of bad things bombarding us on a day-to-day basis, from the pollution in the air and the water and everything that we have around us. It's kind of like not as healthy, even the food we eat. So biohacking just gets into those areas that kind of stimulate the body to operate optimally. And so yeah. And by the way, I can see you, John, in that world eventually, where you are the actual trainers for light spectrum and what would be there. I can see that happening, as another, I guess, branch of your work out there, because, and by the way, from the people that are watching and listening, just understand that John he does training. I mean, he understands all these other pieces about the body, the muscles, the motions, the postures, the diets, all the stuff that you would think, from a personal trainer, and how to really build a perfect body as an athlete or someone that's fit. Well, he knows that. So this is just a compliment to do that. But part of being a personal trainer is to understand the things that can happen and the damages and how you can recover from them and how to fix them. And you just kind of resolve that, with another tool. And this is what LumaFlex is.
That's it.
Well, John, it's been real, man. I enjoyed this discussion, and it's really exciting to know that there is always another solution for people. Again, we're living to the mission of bringing the resources. You guys do the homework, and you know where to get it, and you can reach out to John. I will have the links. I will have his Instagram stuff in there, so please do check. Follow up with him. And hey, listen, if you have pain, the pain is not going to go away unless you do something about it, period and out, and it will be there. There's no doubt, if you're active, there's a level of pain that's going to come with it. I don't care. And then as you age, it's just going to be there more. So take it, whatever you listen. I used to think that, I would never have any aches and pains. And I used to laugh when someone's like, oh, you get the aches and the pains and you don't know where they come from. I can tell you they're real. They happen. And you just have to kind of work with them and figure out why it's happening now. And you have to tend to do different things. So this is a good solution. So folks, John, first of all, thank you for being with us, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. It's great to be able to share. I really hope people listen and make some sort of impact. That's the goal.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, there you have it, folks. American Age. I hope you enjoyed this show today, and that you learned a few things, and you might be able to help somebody, even if it's not you. Somebody probably can use the help. Share this with them. So we'll be talking soon. New day, new show, new topic, new guest. Bye for now.
There's a lot of talk all over the internet these days about the remarkable benefits of carbon-60, and baby boomers are especially excited about it. Whatever generation you're in, if you want more energy, better health, and a boost in vitality, we invite you to try Greska's Carbon-60, a stunning development in free radical destruction. Being much smaller in size than conventional antioxidants derived from fruits and vegetables, it is far more bioavailable to quickly mend the toxin-crippled cells in your body. Greska's Carbon-60 is the only C60 product that is made without the use of undesirable solvents. The only one. Greska's Carbon-60 was developed by a brilliant NASA carbon scientist, and 95% report positive results from this Nobel Prize-winning technology in just 4 days. Visit c-60.com. That's c-60.com, or call 720-600-6040.